Councillor Mulroy.
Well, thanks, Claire. Look, following on from what Councillor Stanton has said, tonight is a very sad night. I mean, I was just reflecting all day on the last 15 years, and I mean, my life changed forever when I joined this town council, because it was an absolute honour to get elected to it, and it followed hot on the heels of my own family, mother and father and grandfather, who had a long connection, and numerous other relatives with a long connection in Westport Town Council, and I was left as the only link there, albeit an elected member. It's hard to put into words. I mean, I suppose emotion sometimes can get the better of you, but we'll try and keep it real, I suppose, for the benefit of this meeting anyway. Look, at Westport Town Council, we had a lot of issues when I came in here first. First thing was housing. We were dealing with a situation where people were going over the road to Castlebar. I mean, people do forget that now very quickly because things change. We nearly lost a generation to Castlebar and other areas. This town council took it by the scruff of the neck, and we gave the opportunity for Westport people to live in Westport. And I think we see the fruits of our labour around Westport at this moment in time when we look through the soccer club, the hurling club, the Gaelic team, the rugby team. I mean, people were given the opportunity to stay within Westport Town and live within their own town, which is very important to me for a person who was born and reared on Harkinshill, and I understand what it's like to live in a town like Westport. And that is very important. That was very important to me. And that came around from different management structures within this town council. And on that note, I'd like to thank all the previous management figures, but particularly Martin, Rosemary, Anne, Dermot, Patrick, and also Claire in the gallery. They're the present members we're dealing, or the present officials we're dealing with at the moment. But they were preceded by a lot of people who had Westport at heart and worked very hard for Westport. Councillor Stanton also alluded to a lot of stuff that went on in the Chamber in relation to political infighting and stuff like that. And I have to agree with you, Councillor, that it is something that does happen, but I think that all our camps expect us to do that, because if you don't do that, if I agree with you all the time or you agree with me all the time, or the same goes for, I think we live in a very boring world and we couldn't put up with that. And that was never going to happen in this chamber. And I have to say, we never left it on bad terms with any council member. Myself and Councillor Gannon were just talking about that. We even had to stand up in the cottages one time. There was people behind the wire, there was people outside the wire. It was very intriguing, but 2 days later, myself and Ollie were back on track.
It looked rather peculiar for a new councillor.
It looked very peculiar. It was men behind the wire stuff and ladies behind the wire. But we got over that, and we in the interest of the betterment of Westport Town Council, we fought hard for the people. And I was just saying to someone today that to serve the people of Westport, I could do that on foot. There's no way I'm going to be serving the West Mayo people by doing it on foot, and that is the difference. That it is a totally different constituency. And on that note, I want to congratulate Councillor Maguire and Councillor Highland, and to say to them that while we haven't discussed this formally amongst the three of us, I'm going to put it out there to the public tonight that the politics will have to be left outside the door. We will have to work together. We'll have to work really hard at this, otherwise Westport's going to be left behind and its surrounding areas. And I have no doubt that will work out, because I, for one, within reason, always left politics outside the door unless Councillor Stanton rose us up and we had to defend the party, or Councillor Flynn in the past. But and I think that's important. The humour. I mean, Westport Town Council has worked really well with the officials, with the members, because it's always been done with a sense of humour, an understanding that you're representing the people of the town, that you fight for them, and you don't take personal interest into the chamber with you. If you look at other towns, it's more about the councillors than it is about the town. And I think towns fail when people start talking about councillors rather than what happened at the meeting, because it was all progressive, very, very progressive. On that note, before I finish up, I want to thank the press. I mean, we have Deirdre, Neil and Magellan most of the time, because without the press, Carla, we would be nothing. I think that is very important to say. We would be nothing. We could be in here talking to ourselves if it's not brought out to the public. And of course, sometimes we all feel, well, we didn't get our fair coverage in the press, or whatever the case might be. But at the same time, if you don't have a press and the freedom, and allow the press the freedom to report at meetings what happens, and I think that always happened in here. There was never a situation where people were running back to the press, or not that I'm aware of anyway, and asking them not to report stuff that happened at meetings. So the general public and the public in Westport also got to know exactly what happened in here. I think it's 5 years down the line, Carly, before Westport Town people will realise the loss of the town council. I think it's going to be a very hard job for myself, Teresa and Christy, to keep this town at the forefront, but I have no doubt we will do that, because I know there was a lot of passion between the two other members. I have a lot of passion for myself, a lot of enthusiasm, I have a lot of fight. I mean, and I will say this to the present members who were retiring or being thrown out the door by Phil Hogan, whichever way you want to say it, that I have no doubt whatsoever that I'd be looking for your advice, and I have no problem in sitting down with anyone sitting on, and again I alluded to this with Councillor Gann this evening, to take advice on board. Because as far as I'm concerned, the Town Council still exists. And whether myself, Kirsty and Teresa want to take that advice on board, that's very much up to my colleagues' opinion, for their own opinion to do it, but I personally will be taking it. And on that note, I wouldn't be here today as Mayo County Council member without the help of Councillor Adams. Got to put that on the record. She has behaved in a very dignified way. She has came back from an illness that most people could never get back to where she is. She has fought back in this council chamber, and she is a credit to the people of Westport. She's a credit to herself and to her family. And in saying I wouldn't be here today without Councillor Adams, let's just call a spade a spade. I have been kicked under this table more times than people know. I have got text messages in the middle of meetings. I must admit it's not Dermot I'm on about. I have been steered in certain directions, and the odd occasion she would leave it till the morning while we'd have a social drink, and then you get it at 9 o'clock over the phone. But that was what you call being steered in the right direction to lead me to where I am today. So without Councillor Adams I couldn't be here tonight, so I want to place on record my thanks to her. To my other council members, I have to say we've had fun. It's been an absolute ball to be a member of Westport Town Council. The abuse, I suppose we never were abused really. I mean, it wasn't a case of abuse. The same few people would always have issues. And I always remember a situation one time where I had a person who was just playing podging for the want of a better word. And he goes, "Look, you guys are useless." And I said, "Well, that's fine." I said, "That's absolutely fine." I said, "You have your opinion, but there's an election coming up." So after the election, he comes back to me and he goes, "No, not happy. I voted and it wasn't for any of ye." Right, which is a fairly startling thing. So I decided to myself, well, if he voted for the if he didn't vote for the 9 people who were elected, he must be a genius. Because he had to vote for 1, 2, 3 somewhere down the line. So Fianna Fáil sent us out a CD with the names of all the people that voted. And sure enough, he hadn't voted. So that was the type of critic that we were dealing with in this chamber. So I produced him in the pub one night and gave it to him. And I haven't seen him since. So I think that's very important. Also to the public gallery, to people who have turned up to our meetings, and there have been a lot. And I suppose if I'm to say that the Civic Trust has shown more interest than anyone in being here in the public gallery, I think they should be commended on that. You know, to be fair, they've seen democracy work firsthand, and they have been great for lobbying in relation to their own needs. And they will be one group that I will commend for being in the chamber. So Curly, my last words are coming to an end in this chamber. It's a sad day. It is a sad day. It's a sad day for everyone around this table, because one way or the other our lives do change forever here, because we don't have the right to go up to Knockgranny and see what happens. We didn't have that right the last day for the local Fine Gael branch to be jubilant with 5 seats as they were, and not to throw it in our faces and not take the 5 seats and share them out. That sort of stuff will never happen again, because we don't get that opportunity, and the internal battles that goes on with that. So that will be missed, and I know the supporters on the ground will miss that. And also the sad part is Councillor Stanton and Councillor Adams will know this too, that they have family members going back previously on town councils. No one else in Westport, no other family member in this town at this moment in time, no person on the street or child being born into Westport will ever have the opportunity to represent Westport Town Council. And ultimately, that is the saddest day that Westport ever could have. So thank you for your time.
Thanks, Councillor.